night. Welcome. Here we are. It's Sunday night with Frankly Fabulous here in the Quiet Storm. The late night hour. We're going live here across the internet. The last broadcast. Broadcasting legend Frankly Fabulous here, signing on from Columbus, Ohio. Do I have enough water? Kinda. Should probably get more. I probably should have hit this before I started, damn it. It's like it matters. No one's ever going to see it. So yeah, there are a few things on the agenda today. We did not shoot at 2 Americans in the desert. We did not. Most importantly, the big question I've been dealing with recently, am I still hot? Of course, we all grapple with this, and I think I could be hot. Like obviously I've kind of relaxed my standards as far as upkeep and whatnot because of the pandemic and because of the shelter in place order. But I could be hot again, and I'm going to begin to work on that. And I am hot. Yes, I do think I am hot. And I think for men, actually, you kind of appreciate value. You kind of get hotter as you go older, I think. You get more substantial. What's hotter than somebody with some character? Somebody substantial. That's Jerry Lewis and The Day the Clown Cried. Your video DJ, Jerry Todd. I feel like I've been talking about a lot of personal stuff, so I do feel like I need to talk about some kind of big issue since Trump is gone. It's not quite as much of an emergency crisis, and kind of been relaxed about politics and things like that. But I will say I did get I don't know if I should talk about this on the air, but whatever. I did get a message from when I signed in to do my to get paid. Said it wanted me to fill out a little bit of a survey about my employment possibilities and capabilities and whatnot. So that's the first inclination of any kind I've felt from New York State that I need to go back to work or something, which is not my favorite vibe. I was under the impression that the new administration was going to renew the PUA and the unemployment through the end of September, which I'm sure that is how it is. I mean, it did say that this survey doesn't have any effect on your benefits. But it's one of these things where they're wanting you to go out and look for a job. So it was all these questions about do I have experience with video conferencing and shit like that? Which, to be honest, I don't. I've never done that. In fact, I don't even really do Zoom anything. My expertise is like in person, to be honest, like shooting things in person. It's not really in like Zoom or anything like that. I don't really have experience with that. Plus, it was asking questions about address and stuff. So I figured I'd just fill it out when I get to New York. That way I can put my new address in it. And I'm a little hesitant to change anything with my unemployment because I don't want to upset the apple cart, but I don't know. I got to do what I got to do. So it shouldn't be a problem. I don't expect a lot of pressure, but it's also a little bit. I mean, I definitely have a lot of money saved up, but I'm not ready to go back into the workforce. Like I would be comfortable doing that when the unemployment ends at the end of September. I think that's fair. I think until then, they should pay people to stay home more or less. And if they can help people economically, the thing is, like, I don't think I could make enough money. And the way that I'm looking at it is like, especially when I get back to New York, it's like they're going to be paying me to be doing this, to be making content, to be being an artist. It'll be like a grant. That's the way I'm looking at it. It's like a monthly grant or stipend to be an artist. They might not look at it that way, but I don't feel like we're at a place in this, like in New York, they're reopening the indoor dining, and like it's true, the case numbers are falling, but like just because the Democrats are in control, Trump's out of there, and like there is something of a plan to vaccinate people, like this is not like, okay, it's back to normal all of a sudden. It's like, no. It is going to take time to vaccinate everybody, and it's not really going to be safe to work in person or even to really pursue that. I think that's a reasonable timeline. I think end of September. So anyway, I don't know. That was just the first kind of like nudge in that way. Because New York has been very good about not really putting any pressure on about anything. These other states like Ohio or Kentucky, where I am, where the people I know are filing for this shit, like they're way stingier with the unemployment, and they cut people off a long time ago. I've been lucky to get it this long, but it was part of my plan to continue to just kind of have that till the end of September. And at that point, I would be fine to like continue on and get work and go back. And I think by that point it'll be safe. But I just don't think that in the meantime I'd be able to do anything where I would make enough money to pay my bills, really, to be honest. Like doing freelance video stuff, particularly like long distance, there's no way there's going to be that much of that, when you can shoot things, when you can work kind of in person or at least somewhat, in the classroom, that then maybe a little different story. Okay, Claire Sherry Lewis is the Crown cried. So I don't know. I know the Democrats are getting a lot of shit because of the checks that people aren't getting. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know how shit works in the real world, but I probably would not have done the impeachment trial necessarily first thing. It's over now, but like, we just got rid of the guy. The last thing people want to hear about is fucking Trump, So really, we're going to try and do this trial. Like, nobody wants to hear about this guy. And yet everybody's really suffering. Everybody really needs money. Everybody needs help from the government. I don't get why they didn't do that first. They should have did. I mean, obviously the Republicans are obstructing them. So I don't blame the Democrats, but it reminds me, like my dad says about the Obamacare thing. When Obama got elected, he had presidency, Senate, and the House, just like now, because of Bush. People hated Bush, so they gave the Democrats everything. And what did he do? He tried to do healthcare. Rather than get little things across, he tried to do this big thing, and it took him all of his political capital, and he got this sort of compromise thing across that people continuously use to beat them over the head with politically, and they lost the fucking Senate, in 2010. That's when, I don't know if they lost the House. They may have lost the House too. I don't know. But this obviously is not that extreme of an example, but it's a similar thing where it's like, what they need. Everybody is so aware of these. It's supposed to be a $2,000 check. That's what it is. And if it's anything less, people are going to be pissed. So what? They sent us a $600 check in December. Now they're going to send us a $1,400 check, but we even haven't gotten that yet. And I will say, I don't like some of the, like, now it's all about children. They said there's going to be a universal basic income, like, for children, or like based on how many children you have. And like, I disagree with that. I don't think it's smart for the Democrats to incentivize having children, because that's the prime target for like the people on the right, as far as like their rhetoric about welfare moms and shit. Like, you don't want to pay people to have a bunch of kids, really. You don't want to encourage that, unless somebody's responsible enough to take care of their fucking kids. I'm not saying that, like, I mean, a part of me does think that mothers should just get paid to just have their kids, because it is it is a labor, I mean, it's literally labor, it's the original labor. But I don't know. They need to get something done pretty quick. And I was a little bit curious why New York is going ahead with reopening the dining. And it does seem like they're trying to kick people's ass back in gear to get them back to work, to get the economy. Maybe, I don't know, because it's tax time. The fiscal year's over. The physical year. But, man, I just need to trust myself more. My mom and I were watching some fucking blues video a few months ago, and it was this woman playing guitar in a backyard. I may have even mentioned it on the broadcast. I probably did. And I said, that lady, because I remember I went to Kingston Mines in Chicago. Kingston, I don't know. My cousin took me there. I think it's like a blues club, like kind of a famous, I don't know, notable blues club. But anyway, we went to Kingston Mines, and the band that we saw there was a woman playing guitar, kind of a bigger, older woman playing guitar, and kind of really guitar slinging, like she's like, I don't know, fucking George Thorogood or something. It may have even been a Flying V. So we're watching this video, and it was some people playing in a backyard, and I was like, man, that looks like that could be the woman from Kingston Mines. And I don't remember, but like, I think my mom probably doubted it, like, because we clicked it and the video was like in Massachusetts. So I thought, okay, well, never mind. I'm just an idiot. I'm just like reading into things. So I'm watching, I Googled Kingston Mine to put a video in the queue for this. And lo and behold, it's the same woman, Joanna something. She's in the fucking house band at Kingston Mine. So I was right about the whole thing. So I just need to trust myself more. I don't know. With this political stuff and the money stuff, people have been waiting. They've been loaded up for the Democrats to fuck up the checks, to fuck up the unemployment, to fuck up the money somehow. The Democrats are just as bad. Pelosi's just as bad. They don't actually want to give you the money. They just want theater. I hope that's not true. I think they do. I mean, what I'm seeing in the New York Times is the Democrats are holding strong on their $1.9 trillion stimulus, and it's gaining in popularity. And the Republicans are not really getting away with. This is ladies' 80s, by the way. I talked about that on the earlier broadcast. This is what it actually looked like on the inside. It's a POV of ladies 80s circa, I don't even know, 2010 or something. So I'm hoping that they'll pass the $1.9 trillion stimulus package and stimulate my fucking economy. Because this, I think, is going to be my last broadcast. I'm pretty sure I'm leaving on Wednesday. And I got to pay for a rental car, and they're raising gasoline prices are another thing that's going up. I mean, I saw somebody on Facebook before the election post, you know, why should I vote for Democrat? My gas will just go up to $3 a gallon and it'll be the same shit. And lo and behold, the gas is climbing. And this is another disagreement I get into with my mom, because when I Googled it, what it said was when supply is low, the price, or when demand is low, the price goes down. So for instance, at the beginning of the pandemic, gas was literally as cheap as I've seen it since I was in fucking high school in 20 years. At the beginning of the pandemic, you could find gas for like $1.20 a gallon because nobody was driving anywhere. Now, okay, it's the middle of winter. There's snow everywhere. The whole country is kind of paralyzed by the weather. In Texas, there's fucking, snow on the ground. It's like sub-freezing temperatures for the first time ever, or like, for all the power's out. So nobody's going anywhere. And yet gasoline is $2.65 a gallon. It's gone up about 60 cents in the last couple weeks. When I was going to leave at the end of January, gas was around $2 a gallon. And the rental cars have gone up too. This is why I was asking my mom. I was like, is this because the Democrats got elected? Is that why the rental cars are going up? When I rented a car to leave on January 30th, it was $94 total, including everything. And now I can't find a car for less than $140. And that's the cheapest. That's what I'm doing on Friday or Wednesday, $140. And then the gas was $2 or around there. And now it's $2.65. Is that because the Democrats got elected? Why is that? I mean, to me, because of the weather, because of the pandemic, because of the time of year it is, I got to believe that the demand is low. It was nicer a month ago when it was more expensive. That's the peculiar part to me, is the weather was pretty nice until the end of January. And yet things were still cheap. That's what I don't get. But that was when Trump was still in office. Now he's out. Okay, now what is this? Do the businesses just decide to raise the fucking price on everything in anticipation that the Democrats are going to tax them or regulate them? Like, maybe people are getting more rental cars because their flights are getting canceled. So my mom, she thinks the opposite. She thinks the price is going up because less people are renting cars. And the same with gas. They're raising the price of gas. So it's like, well, if that were true, wouldn't the price of gas have gone up at the beginning of the pandemic? I don't know. I mean, it's not so expensive that it's like some kind of huge deal. Like, I mean, it would have been nice to pay $94 for a rental car and $2 in gas, but I'm getting stimulus from the government, so. But the unemployment thing got me a little bit, because I am kind of like assuming that money, and I don't want to have anything. And you know how they are. They start calling you. They want you to go out, apply for jobs, look for jobs. Like, that's kind of a lot of pressure right now, to be honest. Like, it's a little early for that, I feel. It hasn't even been a year. Like, I get it. The cases are going down. But I mean, reopening indoor dining, that to me is a little bit like puzzling. You know, I know that they want to like foist people back into the system where they kind of have to provide for their own burden and pay taxes in particular. You know, the restaurants need to pay taxes. They can't go to business. I just think it's a shame that they would even put anybody out of business for this. It just doesn't seem fair. But I'm not sure what that is. You know, I don't think it's some kind of like, well, the Democrats are the real bad guys and like they're gonna, you know, they want to put everybody in prison and put everybody on welfare and export all the jobs and take money from lobbyists and blah blah blah. Start wars, you know. That's something people talk about with Biden is he's kind of a war hawk. I don't know. I mean, I don't I think it's a little early although we are in a crisis. I think that the Republicans are obstructionists. So to blame the Democrats for anything, it's hard to tell what they would get done if they could just if they didn't have to compromise with people that are just unreasonable and who are just trying to make them look bad. So I'm not going to blame anybody for anything, but that's just the way the vibe is kind of coursing and shifting slightly. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we'll have necessarily another huge wave of coronavirus like we did. But there could be another flare up that would send it into more of a, you know, right now we're sort of like there's this vibe like back to work or let's like get things moving, and I'm not really sure that we're there yet. Or maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I'm the only one. Maybe everybody already did this 6 months ago, and I'm the only person that's just like sitting on my ass at home, expecting to get paid, you know, to not do shit, to you know, to stay inside. But you know, meanwhile, while I'm being topical and while I'm on the subject of am I still hot and sort of a field study of the American male and toxic masculinity, I did want to go and sort of investigate this cultural archetype that we've heard a lot about. This is a subject I've been meaning to get into, and I never quite did, but I think it's a juicy topic, and it's sort of a socio-cultural, and it's relevant to the movie and the subject matter I was discussing earlier. I wanted to go on my fuckboy exegesis, fuckboy, and just sort of go into the heart, an investigation and a dissection and an exploration. Let's get inside this. And I think a field study of the American male is sort of about fuckboys and germination, young fuckboys, aspiring fuckboys, wannabe fuckboys. We didn't even know what it was. I don't know when I first heard that term, probably 2000. I don't think it registered like it was a thing until probably 2017, maybe. That's when it was like, uh-oh, we've been found out, the fuck boys. I mean, I don't really know what a fuck boy is by the book definition. I'm just going to talk about what I think it is. And maybe corollary identities such as simp or cuck. They're all kind of like styles of masculinity or angles on how you handle your business. Fuckboy being, I assume it's sort of like a male bimbo or like a one night stand guy the fuck boys that I've known, and I guess I would consider myself a fuck boy. I'm like a minor fuck boy, I think, in a way. I'm a certain niche. If you're into like classic rock, clownish, intellectual, verbal, cerebral fuck boy. I'm your man. Like a Paul Rudd style. Robert Pattinson, Junior. A white V-neck, that's kind of a fuckboy apparel. That should be a big part of field study of the American male, honestly. The white V-neck, or just V-neck in general, for whatever reason, during the American Apparel years, the V-neck was the ultimate style accessory for the thin, young, skinny legged, panted, horn rim faux glasses hipster boy, fuck boy. I didn't really do skinny. I didn't have jeans that like hugged my fucking skinny legs. I didn't really have those like rubber jeans, like those really like elastic, like stretchable. Like they weren't really jeans. They were like bandy, they were like spandex or something. I didn't really have that stuff. I had this one pair of pants from Old Navy that was like form fitting, these black. Oh, those were my best pants I ever had. Those were like my A squad fuckboy pants. They really were just perfect. I mean, when I just looked so great. And my buddy who I mentioned earlier, he gifted me with this perfect V that was like some kind of softer white satin. We were knights in white V-necks. And this was like white satiny kind of V-neck. He gifted it to me during my college graduation. Believe it or not, I graduated college. That was a part of this whole cesspool swirl of drunken, failed fuckboy, swing and a miss fuckboy status. It's hard to be a fuckboy in Columbus. To be honest, it's just a terrible, terrible place to be a single man. It's a great place to be a single woman. I would say if you're a single woman, definitely move to Columbus because you will have your pick. Smart guys, nice guys, professional guys, like good-looking guys, tall guys, strong guys. They're here and they will date you. They will marry you. But the fuckboy, on the other hand, it's a desert. It's a wasteland. You starve. You live by your wits and your cunning, and you're like a hyena. You wander for months between satiation. To be totally gross. I mean, how can I talk about fuckboy without being totally gross? I learned it. It took me time to become a real fuckboy. I think I was reluctant. I've been thinking about recently. I had opportunities to have sex when I was like 19, 20 that I said no to in a kind of insane way. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, really? I was kind of shy, to be honest. Like, and you got to kind of have your own place. I mean, New York, it's a little bit easier to be a fuckboy because there's the train and you can just kind of throw yourself. Everybody's got their own room. And that's just part of it, It's a fuckboy culture. I mean, New York, it's just such a big market, for lack of a better word, of singles. You go to Union Pool, I mean, there you go. For a fuckboy, that's the greatest place on earth. Because Union Pool, it's like a ladies' 80s Scully's, except it's like two of them every night in one location, and it's super stylish and hipster and cool. And it's in Brooklyn. It's ladies' 80s, the branding and shit's kind of corny. Whereas like Union Pool, I actually feel like is a cool Williamsburg vintage appropriative kind of like it looks like a cabana meets like a fucking junkyard. But like, what's the word? Pre pre-aged, or how do they describe the pre-distressed or whatever? Union Pool's pre-distressed. How do they describe the jeans that are like beat up and made to look old when you buy them? Pre-distressed or something like that. And it's just so much. I mean, New York, there's always people coming into the city, tourists, people moving there. There's so many different worlds to be a part of, whether it's, and it's everybody who thinks they're hot shit in the whole world wants to go to New York and make their mark there. I mean, especially, we've talked about it many times with the branding and the intent on that, the marketing campaign for our generation, and how everybody just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And New York became the must-have address. And I just happen to live 9.5 hours from there, within an arm's reach, so I had to go. I remember going to a family reunion in Buffalo, New York. I think right after my first girlfriend broke up with me when I was 17, between my junior and senior year, and I was so fucked up emotionally. And this was just like this thing that I did because I just didn't know what else to do, because I was just so raw emotionally. So I went to this family reunion in Buffalo. I went with my mom and my Aunt Susie. We drove up. Buffalo's not that far from here. Buffalo is actually much closer to Columbus, Ohio than it is to New York City by far. Buffalo's like 10 hours from New York City or something. It's like 500 miles away. Like, it's not that close. Whereas from Columbus, it's like 4 hours or something. Like, it ain't that far, really. So a lot of my family is from Buffalo, weirdly enough. My grandma's family is from Buffalo and someplace around Buffalo. Kind of like Ashbury, actually. Maybe we're related. They're from some small town up, she said, some Polish-Irish town, like 40 miles from Buffalo. That gets super snow and shit like that. Maybe I'll get some more water. So anyway, we went to this family reunion, and I just remember thinking, oh my God, I'm in New York. I'm in the same state as New York City. And I think there was a sign on the freeway when we got to Buffalo about how far it was to New York City. Like, New York City was on the, like the green sign that kind of tells you the next city, like Indianapolis, 100 miles, Pittsburgh, 120 miles, like whatever the next city is. But this one, it was like whatever the next city was, Rochester, whatever, and then New York City. And it said like 484 miles, whatever it is. But it was just so exciting to me that, like, I was even that close to New York City. I was in the same state. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what New York City, it had an allure, but it didn't become the absolute place I must go until probably like my senior year of high school or something. But, I think we were groomed to be fuckboys. I mean, I think it's a part of toxic masculinity. They kind of, James Bond, what does he do? He travels around the world sleeping with tons of women. It's always a new woman in every movie, at least one. And he's look at him. He's a man's man, or the Rat Pack. That's something I was talking about with my dad the other day about, every shitty fucking campus party you'd go to at Ohio State. Just, it'd be in some shithole campus apartment or house in some sewer basement, brick walls and a beer pong table and just like the whole 9 yards, cinder block shelving, beer can collection. And what would the picture on the wall be? There'd be a framed poster of the fucking Rat Pack of Frank, Dino, and Sammy Sammy's laughing his ass off. They're drinking and smoking. It's like, they're like sophisticated guys in tuxedos. I don't know what it was about the Rat Pack, because there couldn't have been anything further from the Rat Pack than like these fucking bros in like sandals and gym shorts and white Ohio State t-shirts, backward baseball caps, playing beer pong. This is what I guess Frank and Dino and Sammy are just like heroes of being drunk. Misogynist kind of wisecrackers or whatever. Man's men, maybe. The last of the great machos, smoking, drinking, screwing. They had character, they had class. I don't know. But the fucking Rat Pack doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in these campus houses. And I don't know. Is that a breeding fuck boy? Interesting part of it, I think, is the boy part. There's some inclination there. Maybe this person ghosted on you. Ghosting being this kind of cowardly boy running away. Taylor Swift has a lyric about, or would you run away scared like a little boy? So I think for women, that's like maybe a problem. If you're a coward, if you run away, they want somebody that's going to face them and be honest with them, rather than somebody who is going to avoid them. And they'd rather have somebody just tell them and be honest than somebody who's lies to them and tries to flatter them and bullshit them. So a fuck boy, somebody not man enough to tell them the truth, that they don't want to see him anymore or whatever. Somebody who just cuts, shoots, ducks, and runs. But, the V-neck, the tight pants. For me, I had this kind of, gelled up, messy James Dean, Robert Pattinson, trademark kind of junkyard of a haircut. That was my life for many years. It was sort of a neo pompadour in a way. I couldn't really do a real pompadour. And I think everybody just sort of developed this haircut over time. I'm not sure why, but sooner or later, it felt like every normie guy got this exact same haircut. It's kind of like a Carson Daly haircut in a way. The Pugsley, where it's like short, but then it kind of swoops up in the front, So you don't have bangs, you have this kind of like pompadour poof thing, but messy 90s Jimmy Fallon, like Jimmy Fallon's hair, like kind of bedhead. I always wanted James Dean's hair, to be honest. He had the perfect hair to me. But my hair is like very straight and fine. It won't really do that exact thing. But I figured out a way to kind of muss it up and make it look kind of like a cool approximation of that. And I maintained that for many years as a part of my fuckboy status. I don't know. I don't really think I was like I was like a featherweight. I was a welterweight. I think part of what made my buddy more attractive, he had kind of a Don Draper quality. There was something about, he was not like a boy. He was more like a man. The way he was built, he was taller, of course. He was probably 5'10" or 6 feet, And he drank bourbon out of a, whatever those highball glass, and wore, I don't know. He could straight talk more with you, and he was very socially adept. But, like this daddy thing, all this cliche of like being attracted to like daddy or whatever the fuck that is. Like, you don't want a boy, you want a man. You're not attracted to boy, you're not attracted to coward. You want Don Draper, you want daddy. And they're hard to find. Those guys are hard to find. The guys who are going to say no, the guys who are going to be able to nail your ass to the floor, whatever that means. But fuck boys are a dime a dozen, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure that I've known that many fuck boys, but if I had to describe the ones that I have known, I would say something about, like, they do kind of try to cultivate themselves. I don't know, like, they take care of themselves, they eat well, they cook well, you know. They look good, you know, they dress well. They're out in the world, like they're active. They live amongst us. I mean, obviously online dating completely fucking poured gasoline on the fire that was the fuckboy phenomenon, because it just became a lot easier to meet people, I think, to be honest. Like, you used to have to meet people through real life one way or another. Going out, talking to them in real life, maybe, or through some kind of social activity. Now you're swiping. So it's like a form of delivery. It's like a form of fucking drone. Prime that ass. Just Amazon Prime that ass over here. Free 2-hour delivery. We'll get within a 2-hour window. I mean, it got to the point, I have been off the market for a few years, so I'm kind of a grandfather when it comes to fuckboy status. My single life basically ended when Trump came in, to be honest. That kind of spoiled the party to me. Although I think for a lot of people, it just made things real freaky. You know, I noticed that that's what kind of made polyamory and, like, you know, those sex parties and things more of like a popular thing because of Trump. I don't know, fear and sense that maybe there was some kind of clamp down or anti-freedom Nazi thing happening, and hate and bigotry, you know. So we have to express ourselves against that, you know. But I don't know how it works anymore, but, you know, toward the end of my singles days, it got to be more of like a methodical thing where, like, you might get a match or a message from somebody at like Friday at like midnight that literally just, like, they really wanted to, very in an orderly kind of like pragmatic fashion, just like schedule some kind of immediate hookup thing. Like I said, like it was like it's some kind of fucking delivery or something. And they, you know, they ask you a few questions. Where are you? Who are you? This, that. And if you kind of pass the test, it's like they're over at your house and you're doing your thing. Like, that's kind of the logical conclusion, I feel like, because to be honest, the dates and stuff, Tinder dates, I couldn't drink really, so that made it a lot harder. You know, if you can get drunk with somebody, that's how you're gonna hook up with them. You know, I mean, there's no two ways about it, but alcohol is the lube, pardon my French, and the lifeblood of the fuckboy. No doubt about it. PBRs and you name it, you know. But I couldn't drink. Literally, my body, I can't do it. I'd go, you know, every time I go on a Tinder date, if the girl was somebody I was really excited to go on a date with, I'd have a few drinks, 2 maybe, and that would fuck my body up. It was not good for me. But I certainly couldn't go out and get wasted with anybody. I'd really pay for that. And I certainly couldn't do it every night or something like some people can or could, and I wasn't even that old. I'm talking when I was like 30, or even 30, like I said, I haven't been single since I was 32, 36 now. And it's been a year off because of the pandemic, which kind of, kept everybody out of the game. Now, I don't think it's a game anymore. I don't know how it has changed, but even towards the end of when I was still actively single, it had gotten more consequential and less it was just more severe, like I said, the secret was out with fuckboys. So everybody was on guard against that. And that's good because you can't, it's part of the interesting thing about this generation is being raised. And I would say even into our adulthood, there was some sense that we were raised in a patriarchal world where men were kind of our reality. White men were the reality, especially in literature, up until, I was in college, really, it was like all white guys. Like, so that was just kind of your expectation of how things were and how they were going to be. And then all of a sudden, gradually, certainly the gender dynamic has shifted. We're maybe not totally in a matriarchy at this point, but like, I think especially among people our age and younger, like women probably do have, they're just more accomplished. And, so in dating, up until you've seen it over the past decade in 2010, and then gradually, and then especially when Trump became president, dating and hooking up when I first moved to Brooklyn in 2011, 2010 was like kind of this carefree fun. It was still hipster era. It was still PBR and like Brooklyn Summer Ale. And like, it was pretty casual and carefree or whatever. It wasn't like some kind of gross bonanza or something, but it was like, that was OkCupid was still kind of like the predominant. This was before Tinder. So, with OkCupid, I don't know. It was weird. I actually, in the history of my own fuckboy status or whatever, OkCupid, I feel like I did kind of meet I don't know. It was a different kind of interaction. I sent long messages to people where we talked about copious things before we went on a date. Tinder, it was way more punchy. It's like you're texting with somebody immediately. It's a small screen thing. And I don't know. I'm not going to say Tinder was like, I don't remember, to be honest. I think probably weirdly, OkCupid was probably a better way to meet people. I feel like I had, and then Tinder, I don't know if I'm, I went on a lot of dates with people that didn't really go anywhere. And like I said, maybe that's just because I didn't drink at that point. That probably had a lot to do with it, because you're really not going to get somebody else to drink on a date if you're not drinking, and I smoke, and most people that you go on a date with, at least in New York City, are not like trying to smoke a joint with you on a first date or something, like that's weird. What people do there, they're all professionals. At least they were at that time. So there was a very standard operating procedure for these Tinder dates. Like, it was like you meet at 8 o'clock in some kind of like dim, candlelit Edison bulb hipster bar. And there's a lot of them that are cool throughout Brooklyn, whatever neighborhood. That's part of the fun of being a fuckboy, is you go to all these different neighborhoods. I had a date with a girl in near Pratt. So I got to see some bars over there. You know, when I went on a few dates in the West Village. Of course, I went to Commonwealth many times. That was kind of like my home base. If somebody wanted to come to where I was, I'd go to Commonwealth. It was right on the corner of but like I said, I don't know. I mean, there are certain things that worked for me and certain things that worked against me. One of them being that I'm not that tall. I mean, like I said, I don't consider myself short, but it's not something I typically would talk about in my dating profile. And so sometimes when women would show up to the dates, you could tell that they were a little bit underwhelmed, and they probably would have preferred, it was like when you first meet him, you could tell they're like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be able to wear heels around this guy or whatever. Not everybody, but certain people were like that, but I am particularly 10 years ago, I was kind of a good-looking guy. I was kind of hot. To go back to the question, am I still hot? In retrospect. And when I was like 20, I was really hot. I feel like as I've gotten older, or as time has gone on, the height thing has become more important. It's become more like publicly accepted as being this thing that like it's okay to like have disdain for guys that are less than 6 feet tall, or that they lie. I heard somebody the other day say 5'10" or 5'9" is a height that like literally doesn't exist. There's nobody who's 5'9". Like, all men add an inch to their height or 2 or whatever. And so women are always looking for dudes that are 6 feet, and most guys, well, they're 5'10" or they're... I don't actually know how tall I am exactly, but certain dates it doesn't matter at all. Like, I don't remember on my OkCupid dates, on my early dates, it being an issue. I think over time it dawned on me like, oh my God, this is something that like is working against me, and I have no control over it. To me, it's height shaming. This is the term I came up with for this. It's height shaming. Just say no to height shaming. I think it's wrong. Just like body shaming, I think, and not to be crude about it, but I think it's the equivalent. Like, being short is like being fat if you're a girl. I hate to put it that way, but I think it makes people's penis soft if you're short, They want daddy. It's all about daddy issues. They want somebody tall who can pick them up and control them and tell them what to do and shit. Dominate them. But the fuckboy is wanted, and the fuckboy is hunted and outlawed. Like I said, I don't know how it works anymore. I think if you were trying to do that and you were like a Zoomer, probably a big part of your act or whatever, or your fuckboy lingo or camouflage or way of making it work would have to be like having kind of a social justice motivation and presence. Like, for instance, you'd have to be a feminist and be like, because you're a male and you're whatever, you're cis or whatever you are. So like the culture's so aware of the threat of that and the predatory nature of that. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's been a few years since I've been in it. So I don't really know how much the mass of people has been affected by uh those requirements. Like I think it's a like I said, I think it's a good thing to be these things for their own purpose. I don't like how it would be appropriated and used to become, to be a predator, to sort of wear the mask of being righteous or being a promoter of, and that's the most obvious thing to do, or the only thing you can do, I think, if you're white or cis or whatever, a fuck boy. The only thing you can do would be to use your platform to put other people's voices ahead of yours. By doing what everybody does on social media, sharing charity funds or whatever the fuck it is they share. I don't know. It's just it's like wallpaper. It's just everybody does it, and it's so standard that you just like completely ignore it. Like being single, being independent. American Gigolo. What is this movie with Richard Gere? Is American Psycho a fuck boy? A fuck boy is somebody you can't take seriously. Maybe you fall for them because they're good looking or hot or have something going on or in one way or another, but they're never serious about you. They're just kind of hit it and quit it. They just use you for their, to prop up their own self-esteem or to pad out their resume or like, for instance, my friend who's a fuck boy, he described himself as being bi a couple years ago in the kitchen. He was like, talking about how he was bi. And it's like, well, okay, maybe you are, but you're also just saying that because, like, culturally it's in right now and it makes you appear cool if if you're just some cis dude who's trying to get laid with chicks, like, of course you're fucking lame. Nobody wants to be around you. But oh, you're bi. Oh, cool. Okay. And I don't know. I'm not sure that it's hard to say because I think with men, once again, it's like it's such a discouraged thing. Any kind of homosexual anything was so, like, there was such hostility to it, shutting it down immediately. So who fucking knows, to be honest? Like, uh, I don't know. I think there is a certain femininity maybe to the fuck boy. The fuck boy being pretty or wanted or, you know, I think that was my value. The thing that attracted women to me, you know, was the fact that I, even though I am not super tall daddy, I'm like kind of a pretty. Women have said that I'm boy pretty at times. And I'm not like small, that's the thing. It's like I don't feel, and nothing against those people either, but like I don't feel like abnormally like short or something. Like I never felt like, oh my God, like I'm, 4 foot whatever. It's like, no, I feel like I'm very normal height, you know? And I think that maybe this is a topic I harp on all the time, but dating tall guys just because they're tall is so dumb, because then these guys live in a land of plenty. That's why they treat these women like shit, because they have choice. So the women they really just date these guys because they're fucking tall. That's it. That's the only reason. That's so goddamn superficial. It's height shaming. And the weird thing is like, I feel like that emerged gradually after high school. That was not a thing in high school, maybe because everybody's different heights at different ages and different grades and shit. But it was only like really like well into college that I realized that like women just like these guys because they're fucking tall. Like literally, it doesn't even matter what you look like. If you're 6 feet tall, like somebody will fucking date you. You know? It matters a lot. is what I'm saying. Being a fuck boy, I have to survive on my wits and my own. I have to earn it. Women aren't just gonna like come after me because I'm fucking tall, and they need a date to their friend's wedding or something where they can wear heels. Let me get some water. I'll be right back. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to be a fuckboy. I mean, my friend described me once as a lover, and I think that's true. Like, I think I did have a lot of momentum and aim at like writing poetry is a big part of that. Reading poetry, going out in public, meeting people, having adventures. Appreciating life, gathering ye rosebuds, tasting the fucking wine. He gave us the wine that we might taste it. Variety is the spice of life. Getting to know tons of people. Like I said, you get to see different apartments, different neighborhoods. The fuck boy, you wake up in a different place, ideally. I mean, I never did. I always had to leave. I mean, people didn't want to stay at my place typically. I wasn't that kind of fuck boy, really. I didn't, I don't know. I had some nice short kind of relationships with people that lasted a few weeks. I think that's beautiful. I think it is so great to have like a fucking 6 or 8 or like sort of a relationship that's sprinkled over like a period of months with a person. I think that is so great, where you go to dinner and you sleep with each other and like you watch movies and you sleep at each other's places. And right around when I first moved to New York, I met this girl on OkCupid who was from Las Vegas. And it wasn't really a fuckboy thing. I had this beautiful room, in the house with this fucking beautiful cornice work and my projector I could watch Netflix streaming on my projector on the goddamn wall in my unbelievably gorgeous Brooklyn brownstone fucking apartment. I had a sink and my own, like it was really amazing. And this girl lived in the neighborhood. She lived by Prospect Park, so we could walk, and we could meet halfway. She lived up kind of near Grand Army Plaza a little bit, and I lived, on 12th Street. So we'd meet halfway at the 7th Avenue Donut Diner or whatever it is on 7th and 9th. Awesome place. And we really kind of hit it off. I mean, I think about her. Maybe this is one of the benefits or pensions of being a fuck boy, but like you remember your different adventures, and they're beautiful. They're wonderful chapters in your life that you can pull off the shelf and revisit in your memory. I'm glad. I don't know. I'm glad I got to know these people and spend this time with them. She was into art exhibits and shows and galleries, and I wasn't really into that at that time, but she was really a cool person. We really did. I went out with a few lawyers. She was studying to be a lawyer at John Jay, and she was just cool. She was just, I don't know. She gave me fucking Steven Tyler's autobiography, Does the Noise in My Head Bother You? Which her mom had given to her. And she thought it was very weird. She thought, why did my mom give this to me? Like, I don't even like Aerosmith. Like, there was no reason for her mom to give her that book at all. It was very strange. So it was over at her house, and I thought, what the fuck is this? She told me I could have it. I felt I don't know. It's kind of a weird, I feel kind of a weird affinity with Steven Tyler, his way with words and he's a performance art kind of dancing clown singer person, minstrel. But we had a beautiful relationship for like a period of months. We'd watch movies at my place. We'd meet after I get off work. She'd walk to my place, it was like a 25 minute walk from one of our, and a nice walk through our neighborhood. That's a nice thing about New York is the neighborhoods are all contiguous and there's a flow, like how nice to be able to date somebody that lives that close. And when you're walking to them, it's dense. It's not like here necessarily where you're walking, I don't know. You could walk those same blocks over and over again, and it would always be interesting in Park Slope, that neighborhood. I don't know. It's just so dense and so cohesive, the brownstones and stuff. So it was a beautiful little episode. We went to fucking dinner one night at this, it was kind of an on and off again thing, but we went to dinner one night at this vegan restaurant off Washington Square Park, Bamboo East or something. And Dave Navarro was there. The dude from Jane's Addiction and whatever the fuck other bands he's in, I don't know. He was there on a date. And, we went to the Strand afterwards and walked on Washington Square Park. And we just had a nice little, time over a period of a few months. We went to dinner during restaurant week because I was a captain at Magoo, the restaurant I worked in Tribeca, the super expensive restaurant. But during restaurant week, they offer like a 3-course menu for like $35 or something. So we could both go in. They would comp me whatever the fuck, a bunch of stuff. I'd get a discount and I could, just leave a tip or whatever. And we'd get a 3-course meal. We'd get free wine pairing. They'd send us a bunch of shit for free. And, I was working in this restaurant busting my ass. So it was like, why not come in and eat and see what it's like on the other side for a change? Let me sit in this goddamn booth and have somebody wait on me for a change rather than, and I'll pamper myself. I'll get the beer pairing. I'll get whatever I want. I work here. I make money. I can spend it. and we will share this. It was one of those things where it's like, was this my girlfriend? I don't know. I don't know if she goes, what's the line? What's the definition? Like, does she go into my hall of girlfriends? Like, I'd say so in a way. Like, we went out, I'd say our first date was like probably in October or something. And we went out until like February or something, kind of on and off again. And even beyond that, maybe. It may have even lasted longer than that. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I could get on OkCupid and find out. But we went to fucking this restaurant and sat in the booth and, got all the food, and it was nice. It was a nice time, And she sent me, I don't know if I should admit this on the air, but she sent me one night. I was at work because, like I said, I was at a Captain. I was closing the restaurant, and it was shortly after Valentine's Day. I think it may have been on Valentine's Day because that was like the irony of it. There was some kind of ironic she sent me this message that was like, have you been sleeping with other people and have you been tested? And she's like, this is fine because we never really talked about this. It's not a big deal. I don't care. But have you been sleeping with other people and have you been tested? Because I was tested positive for, I forget what it was, some kind of STD thing. I think it was probably chlamydia. I don't remember. Sorry to be gross. And I remember thinking, oh my God, fuck. Like, of course it's got to be me because I don't think she's sleeping with anybody else. Like, I wasn't really sleeping with anybody else, but like, who knows? I don't know. Like, the implication from the email was like, you bastard, you gave me this. It's already like we know this is how it happened. So I'm putting it nicely. And I was at work and I was like, oh my God. And so I didn't think I had anything, but I go to the fucking testing place because in New York City, it's a civilized place and you can get free testing for these things. And so I went and I got my test. And they send you your results back later, a few days. It's some kind of online thing. And it came back negative. I did not have it. So she kind of busted herself out on that. I mean, I don't, and I didn't care. Like, it didn't bother me one way or the other. As long as I didn't have it, it didn't bother me. I mean, we always used whatever protection, Another nice thing about New York City is like, throughout the city at various places like Housing Works. This is sort of a fuckboy insider tip is they have the free condom baskets, the NYC condoms. So I was using NYC condoms most of my time over the last decade, to be honest, because they're free. Why would I buy condoms? Like, are you insane? Like, Jesus Christ, I can get them for free. So every time I go to Housing Works, be checking out, buying books, and then, there's the thing. I'd grab a handful of condoms. I'd stuff them in my bag, stuff them in my pockets, grab a lot of them, And that's what a fuckboy's got to do, Sorry, is this too raw? Is this too I don't know. This is how it was a decade ago. In barbaric times. The Brooklyn decade. This is why they changed all the laws and everything. This is why women are running shit now. But anyway, this is my fuckboy exegesis. It was weird because I thought white V-necks were the coolest fucking thing forever. I was proud to be associated with white V-neck. I wore them proudly. Everywhere. Even my drawing, my self-portrait on Twitter and on Facebook, even if you look at the fucking watermark, my brand cartoon of Frankly Fabulous, that's a self-portrait I drew of myself around this time that I'm talking about, when I lived with my brother Jack in 2008, around when Obama got elected. I drew that picture, and I have one of the distinguishing features. The other half of the picture is my brother Jack, and it's sort of cartoons. It was for our band, and it's cartoons of us. And the distinguishing feature of me, being a cartoon, it's boiled down to its most elemental properties and shapes, is the V-neck. I mean, literally all I have are fucking V-neck t-shirts. Literally. That's all I fucking own. Until, 2016, or when Trump got elected, suddenly the V-neck became this hideous, like, oh my God. It's a dead giveaway that you're a fuckboy. If you were wearing a V-neck t-shirt, particularly a white V-neck, you are a fucking fuckboy to be avoided at all costs. But the V-necks got out of control during the American Apparel years and the Terry Richardson years and the Dove Charney years. I remember going to a party. There was a guy in Columbus. The hipster scene in Columbus just drove me nuts because they just bought all of the bullshit. They wore the kind of protractor molester glasses, and they had the stupid mustaches and the American Apparel V-necks. There was this one guy in the scene that literally had like he had a whole array of different American Apparel V-necks, different colors. And they were all like down to here. The V went so low. It was low and thin. That was kind of MGMT years, Time to Pretend. Those were kind of the hipster. Oh, God. The early Tim and Eric years. That was our youth. It's when we were the cutting edge generation, the millennials. When we were on the forefront, on the first wave. But it took me, I would say, I didn't really start having like one night stands with people until, I mean, there were definitely fuckboy experiences that I had in Columbus, but to be honest, most of the people I slept with, I had a pretty good connection with, to be honest. Like, in retrospect, like once again, like I don't find this a sleazy thing to talk about because it feels like such a natural thing and such a like normal thing, and it's healthy. I'm glad I got to know these people, and it's amazing in retrospect, actually. After a year of, I mean, we're all incels now. All right? I mean, more or less, we're all incels now. So now I just look back on my sex life and I'm just in awe, like, really? Wow. I can't believe I was able to actually even live that and do that. Like, Jesus Christ. Now I just feel like nothing's ever going to happen again. I'm so divorced from my own body. And everything, really, But the voice in the screen, in the mind, my mom gets back in like 6 hours. It sucks. But we'll be out of here soon. We're winding it up here. The end of our broadcasting time. But New York, you set up dates in different neighborhoods. That's always part of the fun, dating people where different people lived. And it's, I don't know. There's a lot of, I don't know. It's a healthy thing for boys to want to do. is be fuck boys. Boys will be fuck boys. Like, I don't know. I guess I can't really be the authority on this because, like I said, I've been out of the game for a few years. And just like moral and ethic. I mean, now the thing now is ethical polyamory. So it might even be a golden age for fuckboys, to be honest. Like if you can convince people that you are ethically polyamorous, that's maybe the ultimate situation for a fuckboy. We're just like, okay, I can have a girlfriend, but then I can just have sex with whoever I want. And like, well, I'm ethically polyamorous, you know, like we don't really believe in monogamy. You know, that means I can sleep with whoever I want. But I'm ethical about it because I love my girlfriend or my partner. To me, to be totally honest, that feels realistic to me. Like, I think if I were to have a long-term partner, somebody that I actually were to share my life with, it would have to be an arrangement like that. I would prefer that. You know, I mean, I've been monogamous clearly, and I can do that, and that is what it is too. But if I were to be authentic or just, you know, in my heart, I would say having a partner, but then being able to like just do whatever. To me, that's not a threat. You know, a partner is a special thing, and it's a relationship that goes deeper, and it kind of supersedes everything else. You might have, you know, this is the reason why I don't think it's bad to talk about these relationships or to you know, they are episodic, and like there's something dignified about the duration of each and the proportion. You know, they aren't necessarily all deep loves or super, you know, to the bone, intense, intimate life partners, but they're all significant, and I'm glad I got to know all of, you know, my life is definitely much, 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 much better that I got to spend this time with. I can't even believe it, actually. Now that I look back on it, it's like, not to be gross about it or anything, but I think it's a cool way to live, to be honest. Like, you don't want to hurt people. I don't think I did. I mean, not all the time, you know, occasionally. But that's also a part of allowing yourself to get to know somebody more deeply. You know, you, they can hurt you, you can hurt them. That happens too. It's all good. It's all part of it. It's worth it. You know, it's worth it. It's all worth it. You know, I think about, I went out with this girl from Florida, and we were kind of a strange match. She was like, I don't know, she was such a pure person and just so kind of kind and very smart, but almost like a really smart, like precocious. I don't know. She was just, but she was like kind of a, I don't know, her aesthetic and everything was just so like Pier 1 Imports or like I don't even know, Martha Stewart or who's that lady from Savannah? I don't even know. Like she listened to country music radio. Her style was just like Southern, kind of Christian. She wasn't super religious. It was sort of like Christian, but like with the really kind of God stuff taken out. You know, it was like inspirational, kind of crazy fonted. There was a spirituality to it. You know, like all of her furniture and things were kind of sort of antiques or sort of pseudo spiritual, like shawls, or she was into yoga. You know, it was kind of like the yoga appropriativeness of spirituality. So like everything she did had this kind of like she had a dream catcher on her, and she was a very deep and just like beautiful person. You know, I mean, just like, but you know, were were we gonna get married? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, even to this day, I just have very good feelings about her, and you know, just like positive, you know, and like it was completely worth it to like we dated more or less on and off for a year. I would say she is one of like my significant. She does go in to like the Hall of Girlfriends, definitely. She is like one of my significant relationships. There was definitely a sense that like it probably wasn't going to last forever, just circumstantially even. You know, she lived in Columbus, I lived in New York, and she was going to move back to Florida, so it was like it was a long distance thing. But it was still like completely worth doing, and like I'm so glad that I got to know that person, and like it was a beautiful time, you know. And that's what it was meant to be. And it was good that it was. Just because we didn't spend our whole life together, that's probably a good thing too, you know, like, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't get to know people or that there's anything bad you're doing, you know? I mean, maybe one aspect of fuckboy that I should talk about is like money shit. Uh vis-a-vis like getting people to pay for things. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that. That's never like been my intention ever. I don't expect that or want that or need that. You know, I would like to be able to provide for myself ideally, and I'd like to be able to pay for everything. You know, I'd love to be able to pay for everything for everybody, you know, but I'm not typically the breadwinner. And things have not really caught up to me yet to the point that I've like had to like totally professionalize and make a adult living. I kind of live on the edge, you know. It's well known. Oh fuck! I meant to listen to Highway 61. This is a remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark, made by teenagers in Mississippi with VHS cameras. They literally remade the whole goddamn movie shot for shot. Like it took their whole lives or something to do this. I've always wanted to see it. There's 10 minutes of it on YouTube, so I thought I'd check it out. They're kind of amateur heroes, DIY heroes. They didn't let their technological limitations stop them. They used their imaginations and they achieved greatness. They're kind of Walt Peterson like. It's kind of a fuck boy. I could see fuck boys doing this. Fuck boys just want to have fun. We just want to make movies. I just want to dance. I just want to make music, make plays, make poetry. I guess the danger is like letting somebody think that it's a more significant thing than it is. That's what makes you a fuck boy, is that they care more than you do, or they want it to be a thing, and you being a fuck boy, you just want to go on, because it's about going on to the next thing. I don't know. To me, it's a whole saga. I mean, matching with the person, conversing with them, texting with them, finding a place where you're going to meet. Sometimes I'd ride my bike there. Where did I go on dates? Trying to remember exact. Sometimes I remember going to a place on Flatbush Avenue. Some girl was like a teacher. I think she thought I was her soulmate. Every once in a while, I'd get a girl who'd tell me that I was like their soulmate or something. We had kind of I almost forgot about that. That was kind of around the time I was doing the cooking show. There was one girl I went on a date with at that Smith's bar, whatever that bar was in near Times Square. I don't think it was the one that served hot dogs. There was the one bar I think that had free hot dogs. It wasn't that one, but it was the one that was like that. And I went on a date with this girl who was a divorce attorney, and was she divorced? I think she was divorced, but she was also a English literature, like medieval literature. She had a master's degree in like middle English literature, Middle Ages. So I think we only went on one date. I think maybe we went on a second date. Our first date, we went to that place because it was kind of halfway. She lived in Queens, somewhere in Astoria, and I lived in Park Slope. So we met halfway in Times Square. And then the next day, we went someplace near her house. And then we had sex on her roof. I think there were even fireworks going off. Am I imagining that? Maybe that was I'm imagining that part. But you could see like the skyline and stuff when we're having sex on a roof. It's like, there you go. That's why you're in it. That's why you're a fuckboy. So you can have sex with a divorce lawyer, medieval literature scholar on a roof in Queens. Like, that's what life's all about. Am I misguided in thinking that? Am I just misunderstanding something here? Okay, there was a couple other things I wanted to talk about. I mean, I could talk about being a fuckboy forever. Now I'm a fuck man. Now that I'm divorced, sort of. I don't know. I have like sort of a weird soft divorce or something. It's not technically a divorce. Like, we were only legal partners. Or what were we? We were domestic partners. That's for goddamn sure. We certainly were domestic partners. And now we're not. So now we're ex-domestic partners. So now I'm whatever that is. It's not really a divorce, but it feels about the same. It feels like about the same kind of. I went through the spin cycle of the marriage process just about like anybody who got married. Maybe I do need a comedy partner. I don't know. Jake would be a really good comedy partner now that I think of it. We would be a good team. He's kind of tall and kind of Dean Martin, and I'm kind of short and kind of Jerry Lewis. but I'm kind of wry and sarcastic and political and in the details. And I'm an old school lib, and he's kind of like esoteric and future and androgynous and conspiracist and alien and outcast and doo-wop and blah blah blah. Oh, is it talking about being a fuckboy? Oh, being divorced, being ex. I'm just damaged goods. She used me. She used my sexual power. Okay, maybe I'll go to 12:30. Wanted to talk about in the know. Well, is that a big change? I guess I should keep talking about being a fuckboy now that I'm on this, man. I mean, like, it's just too good of a subject. The Adventures of a Fuckboy. That would be a good. I don't know. It's been a while, to be honest. It wasn't really safe. Maybe it's not safe now. Maybe we're just past that. I don't know. What are we supposed to do? Is everybody supposed to have sex except for us? Or I got to imagine there's still. This is why I'm so excited to get to this apartment. Because there it's theoretically possible I might have sex again someday. Probably not going to happen in Columbus, Ohio. But New York, I think, could get, I could manage it. That's the thing is I would go on a date with somebody right now. Maybe not now, but when the weather gets nice, like, okay, if I could meet somebody online, meet them in person at like a park and like go on sort of a socially distanced, like outdoor date and sort of take it from there, especially if you're able to get the vaccine. If they have the vaccine, like, you're good. Go for it. You could take it a step at a time and sort of, get to the point with somebody that like you might even sort of get sort of domestic with them. And then you would just sort of trust them. They don't see that many people. You don't see that many people. You could have a relationship and a physical relationship, I'd say. I just don't have anything here. I think I'm living in an exceptional circumstance, although I think the winter has kind of reduced everybody to just like coping and just cabin fever. I mean, if you're in a circumstance where you can really get serious work done, good for you. I'd love to be in my library with all of my books, writing poetry, reading poetry, and just going deep into that and shooting video, editing video, writing scripts. But hopefully that's where I'll be a week from today. One of the questions on the thing was, does your home have access to the internet? And to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to have access to the internet in this place. I don't know if I want to, frankly. After almost a year of like, like my mom keeps telling me like, oh, you got to get a TV for your new place. It's like, no, I don't want a TV. Like, no, this is not what I would do if I had my choice. Like, I'd be reading all day. I'd be writing all day. I'd never watch TV. But like, it's mandatory. It's just expected. She wants me to watch TV, so it's just been the easiest thing. I feel like we've been melting time like Twix bars in a microwave. The last year, time has just melted down to this like, it's like chocolate that just like became a totally liquefied. So I don't know if I really want to get the internet at the place, at least not right away. I'd love to like work something out with a neighbor where I could just like pay them a little bit of money and use theirs. It feels insane to me that every single fucking person has to pay for their own, and I live alone, so I'd have to pay the whole fucking thing myself. I have to figure out how to get a router and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. The last place we lived in New York, we didn't have the internet there either. And to be honest, it wasn't that bad. Think Coffee was nearby, and I could go there and upload my videos, and it was super goddamn fast, honestly. Like, at least for a period, I want maybe like a short period of time where I don't have the internet for a little while, except for my phone. And like, if I go, outside of Starbucks or something, I can get on my email and send something or check this or that real fast. The tricky stuff will be like doing unemployment. That's something that needs to happen every Sunday. I could do that on my regular phone, I guess, but these are logistics of the fuck boy. I mean, it could be a cool pad. My little room that I had was not a great place for that because there was no easy place to have sex at all. There was just no place to even like stretch out or lie down or anything. Everything was cramped, shaky. That loft bed was shaky as hell. So you'd be having sex in that or something, and there's the window right there, and you're thinking, oh my God, is this thing gonna break and we're gonna fly out the window? Like, if this was an 80s movie, if this was Lethal Weapon, that's what would happen. It was hard to be a fuckboy there. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too specific because I don't want to jinx any of it. I'm so close, and I want it so bad. I just deserve it so bad. Please just give me a few years of just like sweet, sweet life to myself. It's been so long. It's been a decade since so this is when I was in the Glass Menagerie at Actors Theater. Look at me. Holy shit. And this is when I lived in that little apartment. This was the last time I lived by myself on Denison Avenue across from Goodale Park. So I'm doing Tennessee Williams, Tom, who's a poet. And it was autobiographical. I mean, I related so strongly. See, I'm yelling at my mom. This is like literally, I think in the preview, I even say something about how it reminds me of my relationship with my own mom. Yeah, see, there I am being James Dean, young actor, young fuckboy. That's a fuckboy jacket completely. That brown leather jacket, that haircut. I mean, good God, look at that shirt. Those shirt and those jeans. That is Columbus, Ohio, like a motherfucker, man. Those bootcut jeans. I don't know. I could have done a better job. I'm watching them like, ugh. I just like yelling. That was like the scene where I yelled. But I could relate strongly to the character in the play. And then this was the Scottish play I was in. I come up later. This is Macduff's scene. When, this is Lady Macduff. It's a nasty scene, if you know the play. Act 4, Scene 2. So they cut past, I was just in the first scene. They cut that out. They skipped straight to this one. But this helped me. Being in these plays helped me because they'd write about me in the paper or I'd be in this kind of thing. This had a little bit of status in our hometown, this outdoor Shakespeare thing. So the newspaper, there was this one girl. I remember meeting this girl or seeing this girl. My brother bought me tickets, or he bought tickets for us to see Gnarls Barkley at the Newport. Once again, all the concerts I went to, other people bought tickets for me. My brother brought us tickets to see Radiohead at Blossom in Cleveland. My friend Tommy bought us tickets to see The Police in Cleveland, Springsteen. I saw Springsteen a few times. My mom bought me tickets to see Springsteen with Max. I think I've seen Springsteen maybe 3 times. And they were all kind of similar, honestly. But Jack bought us tickets to see Gnarls Barkley, and there was this girl that was there who I thought was pretty attractive, and she was like trying to like kind of ask us to let her stand in front of us or like get past us. And I was kind of like, you know, down or whatever. And then Jack kind of shut him down real fast. He was like, no, like, are you crazy? Like, we paid to see this. And so then I don't know. I tried to like talk to this girl a bunch of times. I'd see her like around, and I just thought she was pretty attractive. So like I tried to talk to her a few times at Bodega, the bar on High Street. One time I tried to have a conversation with her about movies. I asked her what her favorite movie was, because that's what Zach Allen Starkey said he asked people. So I thought, okay, I'll try that. Whatever. Maybe that's a secret. The truth is, it's just about being social. It's not about what you're saying. It's just about you have to want to be social and have fun being social. And then relationships and life will just happen to you, you know? But anyway, this girl I talked to a few times, and she just like stonewalled me. It was incredible. She just was like not very responsive. And then I was in this fucking play, and they said that I was dashing or something because I had a puffy shirt and a sword, and I looked like Robert Pattinson. And then all these reviews, the only positive shit they ever said about me in any of these reviews was about how I was good looking. Like literally both reviews said something about how I was good looking, which I was really surprised by, to be honest. Like, I wish they would have said something nice about my performance or whatever. But this girl's attitude about me changed completely, and we ended up going out. I don't even remember how. She kind of hit on me. I think she came to the fucking play. I don't remember exactly how it went down, but she definitely like approached me, and like she was that kind of person, you know, like if she wanted something, she was very quiet but very strong, and like she was like an Abercrombie person. She worked for Abercrombie. So she was like not from around here. She was from California. And that was another kind of episode. She lived in this fucking building. She had a fucking one of those smart cars that was like shorter than other cars, you know, because it had like super safe gas mileage. It was electric and shit. You know, at Abercrombie, they bring these people in. They pay them a bunch of money. It's cheap as hell to live in Columbus. And they're just doing it so they can get credentialed to move to New York. So she worked for Abercrombie. And she lived in this building, the Greystone building, which is like this really cool apartment building on High Street. It's across from where Haiku was. And it's old. It's like a metropolitan. It's a bohemian place. There's fire escape. I'd go over to her house. We'd sit on the fire escape, drink vodka. She had this shirt that was like a sailor shirt, like red and white stripes. We'd eat, I don't know, fucking pancakes or whatever. I don't know. We'd walk to Goodale Park. She was quiet, and I think she liked that I just talked. She kind of was nice about. And she took me to parties with Abercrombie people, and they told me I looked like Robert Pattinson and shit. And we hung out for a while. You know, we went out for a few weeks. And it was a drunken ass. I mean, a lot of drinking, a lot of hangovers. her apartment was super dope, but it didn't have air conditioning really. So in the summertime, you'd wake up. I just remember waking up super goddamn early, like 5 a.m. or something, and there was a fountain in the courtyard. You could hear that right on High Street. Really cool building, you know, fire escapes. And is it nuts that I don't feel like I'm talking that loud, really. Am I? Was I just talking super loud? I may have been talking super loud. I don't know. I feel like I'm not really that loud. I'll just do a few more minutes. This is the scene right here. Mark Mann's a great actor. You see it right here. Look at him breaking down. Jesus Christ. There I am. Oh my God. His whole family got murdered. That's what the scene's about. He's just informed his wife and his babies got totally slaughtered. So he he immediately just breaks down. And then I come in with my Spock looking ass. I'm like 98-pound Spock here. Look at this outfit. Jesus Christ. It's so structured. Oh, they squeezed me out of the frame, you cocksuckers. Well, I mean, Mark Mann is giving like a powerhouse tour de force performance here. See, there I am. I'm kind of trying to lend my sympathy. Everybody, I got bad reviews from this. Like almost universally, I got bad reviews. Every paper kind of gave me a bad review for this. I don't know why. I never got good reviews, even as an actor. They cast me. John Kuhn cast me. And then the newspapers would just, they'd talk about how he's handsome. Fucking bastards. But that was, I don't know. It felt cheesy to me. I think I met up with her at Clampdown, that dance party I was talking about at Rivari Room. I think she kind of like warmed up to me because my name was in the paper and shit. There may have even been a picture of me about how I was good looking, I played like in The Tempest, I played like the young romantic lead, swashbuckling kind of. And hey, I can't complain, but I just think it's stupid that it works that way. I mean, that's what Marlon Brando said. In the education of a young fuckboy's life, that was an important lesson. And I've never really had that much social proof since, to be honest. That was like one of the few times I had like, at that point, that was like the Alt Weekly, the other paper in Columbus Live, and even Dispatch. They all kind of had reviews of it, or they said this or that. And that was a do or die thing. That was a make or break thing in this town. Whatever the reviews said, that's what people believed about whether or not your play was any good. Whatever the critics said. And there was like not that many. See, there I am. Look at me. I was 23, I think. But the Malcolm role is kind of a famous rite of passage. James Dean played it. Spalding Gray played it. It turns up from time to time in my studies. This person or that person played it. Taylor Mead probably did it at some point. But Marlon Brando said that too. He's like, what good does it do me? Oh, except pretty girls. Pretty girls start to say, hey, Mar, a little bit more. That's the only thing fame does for him. Hey, Mar. I don't know. I couldn't stay in Columbus. The thing is, it's not worth it. I wish my family would move, to be honest. Like, it's just a horrible place for like a home base, particularly now because it's not even cheap anymore. Like I wish my family would relocate so next time I crash and burn or whatever, I don't have to come back here. That was really the reason why I ended up here because literally nothing else would have worked out. I couldn't stay at my dad's place. I could have stayed at my brother's place, but it would have been not really nearly as convenient. And he would have started asking for money. It just wouldn't have been right. My mom has been gracious enough to provide this without really asking for anything in return. So, kind of winding up here our experience, hopefully moving on, getting the heck out of Dodge. I just really hope this works out. It has been a few years since I've felt like I've really had like a settled, nice home, and I think that's probably something a lot of people our age can relate to. Maybe everybody, but particularly for millennials, it's just hard to find like a settled place. Like, what's the longest you've even lived in a place? Hardly. If you have a place where you've lived for more than a couple years, you're very lucky. I mean, you want to explore, you want to move around, but like, I mean, especially in New York, it's so easy to just like get to lose your circumstances, to get kicked out of your apartment, to not be able to afford it. You know, they raised the rent, they sold the building, they want you out, like whatever it is, hyper gentrification, losing your job. Uh, it's just like you don't have that much space to begin with, for your stuff. So there's no sense of permanence or like, I don't think that's bad necessarily. Like, it's not good to accrue a lot of stuff, but it would also just feel nice to have security in like your home. I would love to just have a house, a big house somewhere where I could keep all my books, all my equipment, video stuff, music equipment, furniture, the whole deal, and have a kitchen and offices and bedrooms, living room, the whole thing. And that's like your home with a little bit of yard or whatever, maybe a forest, basement, like a work studio house. And you could live there and just keep your stuff and you don't have to worry about moving. And, like my friend in Philadelphia, that was something I wanted to talk about too, because a couple of my friends I've been talking to live in Philadelphia. He bought a house a few years ago and he said they're not really that expensive. He said you can get something comparable, I think, for like a few $100,000, which is, what did he say, 150, 160? I don't know. That's very good. Considering it's sort of comparable to like a New York townhouse. I think he said he has 3 floors with a basement and it's got a boiler and the whole deal. And it's probably from about that era and about that quality and character. And it's Philadelphia. This is something we were talking about. I think he said, it's kind of designed or it was developed or just kind of happened that, in Philadelphia, you can kind of walk from any place to any place else. It might take a while, but you can do it. It's kind of a European city, similar to New York or the East Coast cities, Boston, the way it grew. Philadelphia seems like there's an integrity to the kind of grid. the architecture, the craftsmanship, the carpentry. And there's also, I mean, unlike New York, it feels like it hasn't been totally gentrified, or all the, like Bed-Stuy, all these neighborhoods haven't been totally bought up or whatever. I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time. And it does seem like definitely a cultural hub where like cool, important shit is happening, and definitely a necessary place to visit. I'm frustrated, quite frankly, that my relationship inhibited me from coming to Philadelphia, because it's very easy to get to from New York, and it's cheap. And I know a bunch of people that live there. Like I said, my buddy owns a house. So he's got kind of a cool situation where, Philadelphia has cool poetry, avant-garde poetry shit. It's got University of Pennsylvania and all of the great stuff they do at Kelly Writer's house. Al Phil Reese and Charles Bernstein, and they do tons and tons and tons of great shit there. And there's great bookstores, so there's great infrastructure, and it's a great city for poets. And from what my friend was saying, it's cheap. The rent is not that expensive, so Philadelphia sounded cool to me. And it's right near New York, so I'd love to, it's a couple hours. You get on a bus, it's $5 or something. You ride to Philadelphia, it's $5. I mean, it's hard to say when and how that's going to be convenient or safe thing because of coronavirus, obviously. But, I don't know. Are the fuckboy days just gone? For good. Philadelphia seems like a place where you could operate in that way. I don't know. Dudes that rode fixed gear bikes, dudes with tattoos, dudes with gauges, cutoff jeans. These are all fuckboy giveaways. Anybody with like a lot of bike gear or bike like clothing, bike tools, bike know-how, that's a fuckboy. Take it from Frankly Fabulous. It takes one to know one. That's a fuckboy. My species of fuckboy, I'd say I'm like, obviously I'm like a literary fuckboy, a wannabe literary. I'm like sort of a, I don't know, theater. Like if you're a theater nerd, and I'm like, I don't know if I've ever actually had like a super bunch of cred, and like there have been certain poet girls that have like, I've been a little bit of a heartthrob for them. So I'm a little bit of a lit throb. But I don't know. I probably had more attention that I got from being an actor or whatever, being on stage. And that includes music. I mean, I definitely got residual kind of feedback or whatever from playing gigs. But I don't know. It's all part of it. It's all part of being a fuckboy, I think. Having a band camp or your own recording project and your own music, having your own, I don't know, to me, like wellness, meditation, yoga, taking care of your body, eating well, like I said, cooking. I don't think these are bad things. These are good things, Maybe there's a selfishness to being a fuckboy, or solipsistic, like narcissism to that, because it is just all about you. At the end of the day, you're not maintaining these relationships with these women. You sleep with them, and then then what? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to believe that we can maintain relationships with people regardless of what happens. The internet seems to make that a little more like it's harder to disappear from people. Before it was like everybody was kind of disappeared in their own lives and you only had certain connections. It's like everybody's very present on the internet at all times. So like nobody really disappears. I just got a fucking recommendation the other day on Easy Paradise, my Lit Mag Instagram, about, you may know, and it fucking suggested fucking my ex's goddamn record label or whatever. And I'm like, are you goddamn serious? Yeah, I may know this. I'm actively avoiding it. How dare you suggest this through, like, maybe I didn't block it on my Lit Mag account. So that's where it saw it. It sent it like a notification because I was looking through my old pictures. I think it's important from time to time to look through your social media. It's a way of just kind of like remembering. It's like reinscribing the narrative of your life story or something. I don't know. Maybe that's not as good as just sitting and remembering things, but I don't know. From time to time, I'll like read my Twitter timeline just to kind of touch base with what happened recently and what I thought, and kind of remember and sort of quantify the time and get the space of it, just kind of see the dimension of it. If it's been a few weeks, then you're like, okay, that's what a few weeks feels like. It's been a month. Okay. Wow, that was a month ago. Okay. That's what I was doing a month ago. Yeah, I remember. So now it's March. Okay. So you're calibrating, what's going to happen next from that. I was worried about that, but is it better without it? I'm not sure. Well, we got 2 hours of so I don't know. Social media is an interesting way to be able to kind of touch base with yourself, touch base with, you're part of the public conversation where your thoughts meet with the public reality, where they touch. So I'll be winding it up pretty soon, I think. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching our residency. I was thinking the fucking the TV's kind of meant to be like the Sgt. Pepper cover. You know how they have cutouts of all the people that are like influential to them or whatever. This is the Sgt. Pepper cover of this show. So, I try to put in people that I mentioned or just kind of esoteric nook and cranny cultural knowledge. I wanted to talk about, well, it's awkward to bring these things up out of context. What the fuck was I just talking about? Did I finish what I was saying? Being a fuckboy. Can you be an ethical fuckboy? Let's talk about that. Can we make that a term? Can we bring that to the conversation? Let's discuss ethical fuckboying. I don't know. I think people want to sleep with men. I think that people are attracted. I mean, as much shitting on like cis men as there is, I do think that like a substantial part of the population is interested in sleeping with cis men and with hard dick. Pardon my French, but this is another one that's going to go straight to the private collection, I'd say. The private joke file. This is a subscriber-only episode. We have to go in the dark. The intellectual light web. Our freedoms are under attack. Well, I don't know. I hear this fucking fuckboy term, or at least I did. I heard it a lot a few years ago, and it felt like, it's one of these things, like I said, like simp or cuck, that you hear a lot. I mean, simp or cuck, that's more like a net kid term, like it's an acronym. It's like a dumb Reddit acronym or 4chan or something. But fuckboy, I don't know. I don't even know where that came from. That's more like some kind of thought catalog, Twitter, Tumblr thing. And but it was never really that. I mean, maybe there's a Vice article about it. I'm sure there is, probably, but I don't know. Why not do my fuckboy, my take being in my third hand, fuzzy, half-assed, lazy. I mean, I'm having a real crisis about, like, am I too off the mark? That's why I'm bringing up these stories about how I was right about things, because I'm not always wrong. And, like, there's plenty of evidence in my life to prove it. Like I was talking about In the Know. I was on the In the Know team in high school. That was like the fucking smart kid game show. It was on TV. You had to know tons of, like, history, cultural knowledge, shit like that, So I don't know why I'm off the mark. On purpose, it seems like. It's like almost like a psychological compulsion. But it would be nice, I don't know, if I had my own place to entertain people, particularly centrally located in Manhattan. Could make things a little nice for me. It'd be a lot different than having a tiny room in freaking Park Slope, away from cool Brooklyn shit. You can take L train into Manhattan or vice versa. I think Manhattan's going to make a big comeback. That is a prediction I'm willing to make. Amongst young people in art, real edgy kind of art shit will actually start to happen, because the prices are coming down to the point that, like, it's going to be as affordable, to be honest, it's going to be as affordable to live there as it will be to live a lot of places, from what I've seen. Columbus is expensive. It's not worth it. Manhattan, why the fuck not? Take your chances. There's nothing wrong with it. It's through the worst part of the pandemic. Like, I don't know why everybody's freaking out and moving. Like, it's now is the time to get in. That's what Fran Lebowitz said. Fran Lebowitz said it literally. I was watching some interview with them the other day. She said, that's how I knew it was time to go. It was the sign. I'm watching, and Fran Lebowitz goes, all those young people who I've told to stay away from New York because it's too expensive, come now. Come to New York now, because it's cheap and it's not going to stay that way. I agree. It's going to be a really exciting summer, I think. I'm really looking forward to it. We're almost wrapping it up here. our in-depth site-specific residency, my artistic residency. The last year has been this is like an art colony. You know, it's been like McDowell or something. I feel like I've been in some kind of solitary cabin where I'm not talking to anybody, and literally I'm just getting grant money from the government to live my like sort of urban rural city country life here in the bungalow. This is a total bungalow. And study the TV, study show business, study our culture. I don't know, just sort of deep dive on every kind of cultural chitter chatter that I may have thought about or encountered in my entire life. All the psychic bric-a-brac, the image database, the random stream of unconscious, floatsome, jetsam, ephemera. I think this is OU Theater School. So, yeah, I was in some of these classrooms. I kind of recognize some of these people. This is where I went for a year. I don't know. I was very serious about as a young fuckboy. This was sort of pre-fuckboy. I wanted to be fuckboy maybe, but I didn't really have any clue how to do that or what that was or anything. That didn't really exist. I thought just like I was so good looking that it would just happen naturally, and boy was I wrong. This is Piper Parabo, who went to OU, and I see her from time to time in the East Village. She told us some crazy story about she was visiting. She was a student at OU, and she was super passionate about. She did Brecht plays on the green and of all this crazy shit. And she had this boyfriend who lived in New York, and she went to visit him for like a weekend or something. And he had an audition for something, and she went with him. And the casting lady saw her at the audition and was like, "Who are you? What are you doing? I need you to audition for this." And like the first two auditions she put her in were for the fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle movie and for Coyote Ugly. And she got both of these movies. And like, so she was like, you know, I think when they came out in 1998 or whatever, she was kind of famous, you know, sort of. She was like, she's in Coyote Ugly. I mean, everybody knows that fucking movie, you know. And it was sort of like one of the central parables, once again, of the New York kind of dream brainwashing of the generation of like for young songwriter bartender chicks, Coyote Ugly is like the fucking movie, you know, like it's sort of an American Idol story of like this girl from the country with a guitar. She moves to the big city, you know, the big bad New York. She gets this crazy bar. She gets a job, but it's all these, you know, the women are running the show. They're dancing on the bar, and it's, you know, it was super glamorous. It's Tyra and all these, you know, they're lighting the bar on fire and shit. And that movie is on cable all the goddamn time. But she's like a songwriter. She's like an acoustic guitar kind of Sheryl Crow or something. Liz Phair. But, you know, everybody saw that goddamn movie. So it's like, it's the version of that myth for our generation to some degree. And so she went to OU, and she was still in college. She was like a junior or sophomore or something. She got these movies, and she came back to speak during homecoming or something. They did this thing every week called Lunch Bag or something, where the whole theater department was supposed to meet on Friday and just like talk about whatever. And everybody was supposed to be in the room. And I only went a few times. It was just like it was the only class you had on Friday. I was like, really? Like I'm gonna drag my ass up to this like from my dorm that's 30 minutes away. Like I doubt it. You know, especially if the weather's bad. It wasn't. They weren't taking attendance or anything. God, how the fuck did I start talking about that? I don't know. It's getting late. It's 1 a.m. Thank you for watching. I'm just gonna go till 1. That's 4 more minutes. It's very reasonable, right? I just can't quit. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to live streaming. Once you get started, you can't really stop. God, what was I talking about? Some kind of performance bullshit. Oh, all the OU people in the video or whatever. I don't know. I was very conscious about my legacy or something. At that point, I still thought I was going to be some kind of huge genius, consequential, young, enfant terrible, like lifelong artist, whatever, you know. And now I'm 36 and, you know, here we are. But I was like very like, I can't. I think Paul Newman went to OU for a year. There was some story about he got expelled, I think, because he rolled a keg down the big hill there, whatever the fuck that hill is called. And, you know, I was trying to be James Dean. I was trying to, like, be young, famous actor guy, whatever. And just get into it. I don't know. I didn't know how I was going to make that happen, really. But I don't know. I just thought it would happen somehow. And I did YouTube. I did, you know, I did YouTube videos. I did short films. I did plays. I tried to do commercials. I did independent films, horror films. I don't know. God damn, I've just been in a suspended career retrospective where I've just had to take a long, hard look at a lot of this stuff. Even though I can't see a lot of it. Like I haven't been able to see a lot of these movies again, but just being in Columbus and just like sitting with all of this bullshit in slow motion, kind of obviously reliving it. And this has been part of the residency. This is kind of a memory lane because there's nothing going on right now. And I am just living in the past, kind of. This is Wyman Woods, where I used to walk after school, kind of near the house we lived by the electric field. It's good ale. Played one of the first gigs I ever played there in the shelter house at somebody's birthday party or something. Jack and his friends rented out the shelter house to have a gig. And it was kind of embarrassing. I saw her standing there. My girlfriend was there. I had sunglasses on and Ray-Bans. This was way before Ray-Bans were in again. I had Ray-Bans. I had this brown sort of rockabilly button-down shirt that I tucked into black pants. And I was just trying to be John Lennon so bad. I was trying to make it like the Beatles playing in that like churchyard or whatever the fuck that was, where like John Lennon, he was playing some kind of church function or something when Paul McCartney saw him for this first time. I was trying to make it like that kind of thing so bad, like playing Wyman Woods Shelter House. And I think we played, I saw her standing there, fell in love with the girl by the White Stripes. I'm not sure what else. But it was, I don't know. I'm sure my brother hated it. I'm sure my girlfriend just thought it was embarrassing and lame. It was pathetic. It was pathetic. Teenage ego, scarfing. I don't know. Just scarfing it up. Well, anyway, it's 1 a.m. here. I don't know how many videos I have left. Let me just check real fast. If there's anything good that we're going to miss. Put 89 videos on this list. Let's see how far we are. Well, I mean, here we are. Okay, so we're only halfway. Holy shit. Well, let's maybe go through the other Glass Menagerie stuff because it's kind of interesting just to put on the screen. Let me go get I got a little snack. So now we're kind of in overtime, so I'm going to get a snack. How does that sound? I'm going to eat it right here. Working in restaurants. It's kind of hard being a fuck boy. Sleeping with the people you work with. Sleeping with the bartenders. Sleeping with the other waiters. Sleeping with the hosts. Getting people's numbers on receipts. Sleeping with those people. I had a few cool fuckboy episodes when I worked in that restaurant in Midtown. One time these two girls came in who were on vacation from Canada. John Kuhn would be proud. See, look how serious I am. I don't think I really know what the fuck is going on at all. I don't know what he's talking about. I think I was a total egomaniac. It was one of those actors that was just like, bullshit, bullshit, my line, bullshit, bullshit, my line. And this play was great because I just had all these fucking monologues. And I get to scream. I mean, it was really the perfect part for me. Yeah, one time these girls from Guelph, Canada, they were on vacation in New York. They were staying in some hotel near there. They thought I looked like Robert Pattinson. And they were awesome. They were totally hilarious, fun people. So we went and we had some drinks and it was fun. And this other girl was French. She was here for some kind of business thing. She was on a business trip. And she wrote her shit on the fucking receipt. Some kind of message about how she thought it was cute or something. I don't know. And so I contacted her, and she was at some club near there. like some kind of private, super swanky, like fucking bar in Midtown. Some kind of private, place where a cocktail is like $15 or $20. So I went there and I met up with her. And that was a nice adventure too. In Midtown Manhattan. I am in a hotel room in Midtown Manhattan. Pretty cool. What a life. Being waiter is like a social job. Like you just, in that way, it's kind of cool, to be honest. Like, if you like talking to people, it's kind of fun, to be honest. It's kind of fun to just like meet shitloads of people and talk to shitloads of people and have like, to be honest, like, I could see ways to embrace that. Like, it is like a little performance to me. Like, having a table is like having a little audience. It's like a little stage, the table. And the way that I hosted and waited felt like hosting the Tonight Show or something. There's a reason why it's the same word. You're hosting the Tonight Show. So, like, and to be honest, it wasn't that dissimilar from like going out and doing sets and talking to random strangers. If you want to do street theater and interact with people that like you don't know, well, here's a job where they pay you to do it. If you like meeting people, if you like, you get to know interesting shit. You get to know interesting people if you're open to that. I met tons of interesting people, and like, I wouldn't want to do it again, but there's cool aspects to that, like there are other ways to do the same thing, but it kind of goes hand in hand with being a fuckboy, because waiting jobs give you a lot of latitude as far as where you can live. Your hours are kind of late already. It's kind of a drunken partying lifestyle as it is, where like you're going out with the people you work with after work. You get off late. You get off at 11 or midnight or maybe earlier than that. But you've been on your feet. And everybody's young and kind of good looking, and because they want, that's who they want to hire ideally. Especially in New York or at a cool restaurant or something, like there's a lot of mobility. There's a lot of easy come, easy go. You can lose these jobs, get other ones, as long as you're willing to do the work. They're like relationships in a way. It's just too physical. That's the thing about working in a restaurant. That's really like painful. The stress, the emotional stress, and the heat, being on your feet, running around, the shoes you have to wear. Like, it's kind of an acknowledged thing that like you are not supposed to sit down. You're getting paid. It's very bad form and inappropriate to be seen like sitting down. Like, how fucked up is that? That feels medieval to me. Like you had mentioned. My one listener had mentioned how restaurants are I feel the same way. They are medieval. Like it's like a feudalistic. It's perverse to want to pay to stress somebody out, to have them wait on you. Like, fuck, maybe I should have waited to have the candy bar till after I was done. Then I kind of like decompressed with it. Now I'm still in the show, and like, what am I gonna do after? I have nothing to look forward to. All right, it's getting late. Thank you for watching. This has been Frankly Fabulous Residency 2020. 2020 is over. It's just about over, to be honest. The new year happens in spring. It doesn't happen in the middle of winter. It happens in spring. We're almost there. We're nearing the end of February. February is the hardest month. By St. Patrick's Day, things will be getting warm again. We'll be able to go outside. It's not very long, a couple weeks. It's supposed to be in the 50s in New York this week. Wednesday, when I'm going, it's supposed to be in the 50s. Pretty fucking good. So I'm looking forward to the new year. The year of the ox. The year of progress. Strength. Tilling the earth. Harvest. Putting your shoulder to the wheel, putting your back into it. Well, thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. This will be like, we'll consider this like we're going on a short break, maybe. You know, like we'll be back with new content soon. This is like between seasons or between, this is like a little holiday break or something. Short vacation. You can watch some reruns. You can catch up. And we're just going to move. We're just going to move our operations, our headquarters. We've been called up to the majors. Start the new year in the number one city in the world. The city I love. Honestly, I do. I do consider New York my home. New York is my home. It's number one. No place that I'd rather be. I think about it when I'm gone, to be honest. I always have. I just want to be surrounded by it, enveloped in it, shrouded, environmentally suspended in it. 360-degree VR. I'm excited to get back. Thank you for watching. It's been the Frankly Fabulous Show. Live from Kenhanchikansapung. Occupied land. Fuck this place. It's been a weird year. We just wanted to keep safe. Keep everybody's else safe. We got Trump out of there. We had kind of a reprise of our celibacy. Perhaps as some kind of karma for our fuckboy sins. And maybe we need to reevaluate that. I was eager to go back out into the dating pool so I could just see what was up, see where things were and how to be, So I'm eager to do that soon in the near future. And that's part of what's fun about dating. You talk to a lot of people. You see, like I said, you see different neighborhoods. You see trends. You get the word on the street. It's like interviews. You're just doing a bunch of interviews with people. If you're going on dates with them, you ask them questions. You have conversations. Hey, if you're going on a date with somebody, you're probably going to get at least an hour of their time. Everybody I'd go on a date with would have at least one drink with me, if not two. And if I was really a drinker, I'm sure it would have been more than that. But because I wasn't and I couldn't be, my dating life was not probably as exciting as it might have otherwise been. I was a sober fuck boy, if you can believe it. Or maybe a pothead fuck boy, I guess. Stoner fuck boy. Anyway, you've been watching this show with Frankly Fabulous. The Mandatory Invalid, The Night Shopper. You'll get nothing and like it. I'm just trying to see real fast. I'm glad we finally were able to do our fuckboy exegesis. I just want to see real fast if there's anything else I need to talk about. I guess we did the weather. It's dark. It was nice out. I was just out taking the trash out. And it's pretty comfortable, to be honest. It really didn't feel that cold. It feels like things are kind of thawing out. We can kind of be such a... Oh, my fucking Charles Grodin impersonation. I don't know if I can do it now. It's too late. We did not shoot at 2 Americans in the desert. We did not. I want to do Charles Grodin on SNL when I get a slot there. Clifford. It's my nephew, Clifford. Love Charles Grodin. Well, we got a lot more ideas coming. We got a lot more things in the pipeline. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Stay loved. Stay, we're all together. We're all together all the time. We're all keeping each other company. I'm with you. You're with me. And we will all be together again soon. L'chaim, thank you for watching. Good night.